Welcome into another video for the Packers Playbook series. This episode is going to focus on what the offense uses to identify the defense and what the defense is doing. That way, everyone can communicate with the same language. I think what I'll do for this one, I'm not going to do as much talking. I will kind of scroll through and allow you guys to pause the video and make sure that you can get a closer look at things that you want to look at. But for the most part, I'm just going to fly through how they identify defensive fronts and how they identify coverages, terminology that they use, and then you'll be able to kind of pause at different parts in this video if you want to see anything in more detail. Now, in terms of the base fronts, this is how they identify the base fronts and the nickel and dime fronts. You'll see the difference. In terms of the base fronts, so base would be, 4 down linemen, 3 linebackers in the game. You don't have 5 defensive backs, you just have 4 DBs. So this is how they will identify those. You've got the first digit is the front that represents a type of front. So you have over fronts that are represented by a 5, even fronts that are a 4, under fronts that are a 2, then 3-4 fronts are a 3. Surprise. Then you've got the second digit, which is referring to the linebackers and their alignment. So you've got all linebackers in the box. You've got a 9 at the end. Will on the ball is a 7. Sam on the ball is a 5. And both the Sam and the Will on the ball is a 3. And then for the safeties, you've got sup and fup for the strong safety in the box or the free safety in the box. So that's your base fronts, how they identify with that number system. And we'll see that here on the right. Then you have your nickel and dime. So if you got 5 or 6 defensive backs on the field, first digit in the front represents the number of D-line on the field. All right, so 4 D-line, it's going to start with a 4. 3 D-line, it's going to start with a 3. 5 D-line, it's going to start with a 5. Pretty simple. Then you've got the word after the numbers represents the variance. You got no word after, it's an even front. King is an over front. Queen is an under front. Tight, odd, stretch. You've got T for double 3 techs. You have G for a 2Y to the strength. You've got wide, so your 9 techs on the outside. You've got load, 3 bigs on one side. And then you've got your mug, where the linebackers walked up over the center, which we'll see on some of these fronts. Then you've got jam fronts, where both the center and both guards are covered. And then you have a bear, which is the same as a jam front, except now the tight end has a stretch over him. All right, and the stretch is a man player over a grounded tight end. So if we look, we've got 25, 29, 25 FUP, 25 SUP, and jam. And we'll look at the jam real quick. You can see you've got a player covering both guards and the center. And of course, you've got, it's not quite the same as, a bear front. They do have a linebacker that's kind of over the tight end, but you don't necessarily have a stretch player that's, head up with him. You can see 25, you have explanations in the playbook, under front with a Sam on the line of scrimmage, under front with all 3 linebackers in the box. So we look at 29. There you go, draw that box around that. And of course, you got all 3 linebackers in the box. So you got 7 guys in the box. And you got your FUP with the free safety, who is up, your SUP with the strong safety, who's up, and so on. And getting into the 50 and 40 fronts. All right, again, 50 is going to be your over. 40 is going to be your even. All right, so this is still all base. All right. Still have 3 linebackers in most of these. All right, Will, Mike, Sam, those identifiers. I'll scroll slowly. That way you guys can pause the video where you need to. You're able to kind of recognize here, all the descriptions of what that is, just so players can attach the words with the image as well. So they're able to kind of recognize it from a playbook perspective. Then we get into our 30 fronts, right? 3-4 personnel, 3 down linemen, 4 standing linebackers. And some playbooks, they use a J, right? The jack. Here they use the P. right, to identify that extra linebacker, and they call him the plug, right? So that weak side inside linebacker they call the plug. And some, offensive identifiers, they call him the jack. All right, so you pause here. You got your 30 fronts, 34, 35, 37, 35G, 34 jam. So that way, if you see this in game, it's going to be a quick identifier. And that way it's easier for the coaching staff as well to draw up their plays against, certain fronts. I will continue. It's the same thing. Your nickel fronts. All right, I'll just go very slow. If you feel like you need to stop, you can stop. But of course, you can go back to all those modifiers. These are all your nickel and dime fronts that the Packers use to identify what they're seeing in front of them. And of course, this is not necessarily going to be every single front. This is just kind of, standardized. These are fronts that defenses present, and we want to be prepared in case they do pop up that we can use the same terminology. Now we're on to the coverages. It's very, very simple. You've got your cover zero and your nickel coverages. Look at one deep base man. So cover zero, obviously, they're man-to-man across the board. They're sending extra rushers, right? So you've got 6 guys rushing in this situation. What they do to differentiate between base and nickel is they just add an extra figure, right? So we got cover 0B. This is base defense. We got 3 linebackers, Will, Mike, Sam. Cover 0B on this coverage means you've got a nickel, right? And that nickel's going on a blitz, so they still have man across the board. But of course, that 00 is identifying that it's nickel or dime defense. Then you've got different versions of cover 1, plug weak. Cover 1 robber, one of the safeties comes down, he's that robber. Cover 1 Z, you've got a bracket coverage on the Z. You've got cover 1B, which is a blitz from the will. Cover 1 weak B. Then you've got your deep nickel, cover 11 plug. So it's just the same stuff. It's just with a nickel in there. So all the stuff that you've seen as cover 1 is also going to be cover 11. It's just that identifier for nickel. And you've got your 2 deep base. So cover 2 Tampa, cover 2 sky weak, cover 2 man, cover 2 sky B, right towards the boundary with a blitz. And you've got your nickel. Instead of cover 2, it's 22 Tampa, sky B, 22 man, sky weak. All right, and so on with a 3 deep, cover 3 weak, cover 3 hook weak, cloud, 3 cloud weak. And you get into your 3 deep nickel. Again, 33 just means it's nickel. And you got your quarters and base. So you got cover 4 base, and 44 with a nickel in there. All right, so that's just how they're identifying defenses and coverage structure. And then there's a lot more to talk about with the blitzes, but I'm not necessarily going to go through all of those in this video. I think that could be a separate video by itself, but you can see we'll scroll through and look at all the things that they need to learn. All right, these are the type of blitzes we're going to see: a smack, a wham, a smack X, wham X. There is a lot to cover in the blitzes, so I'm just going to scroll through. And if you're curious, you can pause the video. You can draw these up. Maybe you're a coach. Maybe you're interested in, using these terms to identify different blitzes. But these are all the terms that they use to talk about blitzes, and it just shows you the preparation that goes into, the NFL, these offenses, making sure that you can give a name to everything that you're going to see in a given season. So that's going to do it for this video. Let me know if you guys are enjoying this playbook series, and obviously every single Friday, make sure that we pop out another video. I believe the next video is going to be on the route tree, and you can see there are a ton of routes for receivers and halfbacks. You got 29 pages just for the receivers, and then you got 4 pages for the halfbacks. So thank you guys for stopping in, and I'll see you in the next video.